And what did Raghunath say to me? I jumped on him. I said, Mr. Foreign Secretary, do you even understand what practicability is when there's national security involved?
One of the things that you've called out is the Indian Air Force. And you've called it the luckless Air Force in the world.
Tejas is equal to the same generation as your damn Rafale you're buying. So how is it useful? If you're just going to fight Pakistan, it's okay. That's exactly what it was meant for. A bomber, a strike aircraft for Pakistan pretty much describes what your operational ambit is. That's why I keep saying the Indian Air Force doesn't have it.
And you've also maintained since the beginning that China is the real existential threat.
It's the only threat. They are far too superior. If the Chinese deliberately and with due diligence nuclear missile armed Pakistan, what should India's response have been?
As Jaishankar, what do you think about him? And you've said a lot also about how we deal with Trump, and more so how we should not deal with him. Sir, I've been reading your blogs with a lot of interest and also with fascination because they are scathing, like I mentioned, and you don't like to spare that which doesn't deserve to be spared. And you call out everything, and one of the things that you've called out is the Indian Air Force, and you've called it the luckless Air Force in the world. So can I ask you to elaborate why you say that?
Well, look, there's a whole history behind it, but I'll be brief about why I think it is a disappointing military service. By its very nature, air forces are the technical leaders in the military. Because an aircraft, combat aircraft, is perhaps the manifestation of the most advanced technologies, the most frontier edge technologies. So when you have a service using that, you would expect that it be technologically knowledgeable. Not in terms of sitting in a plane and flying it off, of getting it in operations, but in terms of the mindset of what technology can do and have a future notion of how the technology trends are and where it might lead the service. That I find is not there. And it is, one of the problems is like military has been, it's not a national, it did not start out as a national force. The only national military force we had at the time of independence was Netaji's Azad Hind Fauj. That was a great thing had Nehru gone in for it. Instead, the people who participated in that rebellion and then going over to the Japanese Imperial Army and then, marching on India and so on and so forth, was a nationalist force, whether you like it or not. They might have been POWs who were recruited. That's not the point. And they fought very well. The British intelligence at that time said they fought very well with very little. One of the things that the Duke of Wellington was supposedly the greatest military commander of the 19th century of Britain. What did he say? That the hardest military campaign he had to fight was against Hyder Ali and then Tipu Sultan. The first and the second Carnatic Wars, Anglo-Carnatic Wars. Because he ran them ragged. It's a guerrilla forces going up against the British Indian Army, not British, but the East India Company forces, which was on conventional lines, the British squares and so on and so forth in military terms. So they're not mobile. Hyder Ali was mounted, as was, but Tipu Sultan was then, got his army trained by the French and so on. That went into the Anglo-French problem in Europe that then got reflected here. Duplay and so on. So you have that history wherein you had Indian leaders or resistance leaders like Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali, and these are people who fought against the East India Company. And like at Plassey, why did Robert Clive win? Because Mir Jafar. Why did Tipu Sultan lose the Seringapatna? Because again, his own prime minister allowed the gates to do from the Krishna River in. If you go to Seringapatna,
it's a betrayal.
So on and so forth, betrayal. It's your own people betray you all the time.
All the time.
You don't need other people to undermine you. This has been the Indian, shall we say, attribute, historical attribute. We are that way. Because we have no sense of nation. We have no sense of who we are. We'll be anybody's lancers. We are anybody's plaything. Now you just replace the British with the present big past, what do we find? It's the same thing.
And so there's so much to unpack here, because you said that, number one, it's an Indian attribute. Then you said that we lack the sense of a strong nation, whereas others would argue that nationalism is at an all-time high. And of course, I know where that contradiction will lead us. And of course, then you mentioned the superpowers, which also is a very interesting segment that I want to get into. But please allow me to come back to the IAF and why.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So yes, IAF, forgive me, I go off on a jag because these are things that are so interconnected. But the IAF, because it's a technical force, as I said, one of the problems I have with the IAF is that, it was a force that was singularly well endowed by Prime Minister Nehru. Of course, Nehru is now reviled and so on. But the fact is, he did some extraordinary things. For instance, we keep importing combat aircraft.
Yes.
We have been doing that for 70 years.
Case in point is the Rafale now.
Yes. And he was the one who imported the greatest aircraft designer. Designer. Dr. Koot Tang. Who was Dr. Koot Tang? Who was the lead design bureau chief, design bureau, chief of the Fokker-Wulfer, which was a German firm, along with Messerschmitt, which was the other German firm producing combat aircraft for Hitler, the Luftwaffe. And you had this extraordinary man living in Argentina trying to escape the Nazi taint.
Yes.
Nehru commissioned him, brought him from Argentina. Think of the strategic sense in importing a designer, not an aircraft.
The designer of it. Yeah.
He built the HF-24 Marut. He was commissioned in 1955-56. The first aircraft flew in 1961 over the Bangalore skies. The first jet aircraft, a supersonic aircraft, to be built, designed, developed and built outside the West. The first.
Right.
And Nehru always said, we are manpower intensive. There's a lot of manpower, but we have to go towards technology. This was going to be the lead technological project. It would have, who killed it? The Indian Air Force killed it. I mean, as in killed it. Why? Because what is the Royal Indian Air Force? It is the Royal Indian Air Force. It's just an adjunct to. And I always argue that the IF doesn't have the mindset of an independent air force. It's always as an adjunct to a major air force. I called it a tactical adjunct. That's why it doesn't have any strategic bombers. They had a medium bomber in Canberra. They did not follow it up with having a strategic bomber. It was offered to us in 1971 by the great Admiral Goshkow. In 1971. And it was rejected. You'd have had a Tu-22 bomber. A Tu-22 bomber would have given us a flexible weapon delivery platform to go to the ends of China, to go to the ends of any country.
We rejected it.
We said no. We bought a tactical aircraft. Goshkow couldn't believe it. He was not only the admiral of the Soviet fleet, he was the defense minister. He thought for India. He said, you must have this. An entire squadron of Tu-22s were at the Sheremetyevo airport in Moscow, ready to fly with Indian roundels painted on the...
We rejected that.
We said no. We bought MiG-23. That's what I mean. When you undercut your own self, what are you worth? No one else did it to you. P.C. Lal, who's considered a great air chief, whatnot. This the man who killed it? To buy what? The Anglo-French Jaguar, low-level attack strike airplane. I remember at that time, I'd just come in from California after 10 years there. And I said that the DPSA, the Jaguar, the deep penetration strike aircraft, as it's described, I said it can either deep penetrate or it can strike. It cannot do both.
See.
It doesn't have the range and the load.
Okay.
If you're just going to fight Pakistan, it's okay. That's exactly what it was meant for.
No.
A bomber, a strike aircraft for Pakistan pretty much describes what your operational ambit is. That's why I keep saying the Indian Air Force doesn't have it.
Doesn't have it.
Doesn't have it. It doesn't understand technology. It has a medium that is there's no border in the medium. If you're an army, there's a border. There are enemy checkposts. There's no border. Even in the seas, there's a border. The coastal, the economic exclusion zone comes in. There is no border. And you behave as if there are. That you are limited,
Do you want to know who you really are? आप कुछ चीज़ों में एक्सेल क्यों करते हो? आप कुछ चीज़ों में एक्सेल क्यों नहीं कर पाते? These things are unlocked when you understand personality. Psychometric psychology बहुत एडवांस हो चुकी है. दुनिया का सबसे एडवांस, सबसे वेल रिसर्च पर्सनैलिटी टेस्ट है बिग 5. ये कैसे अफेक्ट करते हैं आपके करियर चॉइसेस को, आपके रिलेशनशिप्स को, आपके वेल्थ ओरिएंटेड डिसीजंस को एंड एवरीथिंग. For free, we have decided to distribute this. We have created the test. The tool is there. The link is in the description. Please go ahead, use it, spread the awareness, become more self-aware. Thank you and all the best.
In a sense, limiting yourself is what you've done consistently. And we are now going to do the same thing. Exactly what happened to Marut is happening to Tejas. I argued this 10 years ago nearly when the Tejas being. I remember I was the first one when Arunachalam, I wrote about the Tejas being obsolete before it became a real combat aircraft. Why? Because we are starting again from zero baseline. Had the Indian Air Force bought a stake in the Marut, the greatest Indian designer Raj Mahindra had designed a beautiful aircraft, the HF-73, it's called 71, 72, 73. That's the designation. Beautiful aircraft. I remember I met, he's dead now, Dr. Raj Mahindra, who was trained by Gurtank.
Himself.
HF-24, even though it was underpowered because we did not buy an aircraft engine, that the British firm Bristol Siddeley was selling to us for 5 crore rupees. Complete engine. Why did the Bristol Siddeley company in Britain in 1950s, late 50s? I mean, sure, 5 crores was much money, then. But nevertheless, the fact was it was available. Why? Because the British had lost out in the NATO fighter program to the Americans. And they had to make money. They had to sell what they said, you buy it for your HF-24. Aap kar rahe ho.
Should have been
We didn't buy it.
We didn't buy it.
Oh, Krishna Menon tha. He was he was a baseline idiot. Why baseline idiot? Because he was very intellectually agile, but he was not
Decisive?
No, he was a leftist. He was a complete leftist. That's why he said there's no threat from China. So he was the one who actually institutionalized the Pakistan fixation on the military. But even otherwise, the Pakistani, you have the same army divided, then it becomes, as I've called it, an intramural fight, St. Stephen's going up against Hindu college, cricket or some shit like that. So, no, I don't take the India-Pakistan war seriously. I never have. I completely subscribe to General D.K. Palit, who was the former Director of Military Operations during the 6-2 war, who described India-Pakistan wars as communal riots with tanks.
No. Communal riots with tanks.
And I asked the general, were you being facile or were you being serious? And he pulled himself to his height, his 6 feet tall. And I said, Mr. Karnad, I'm never facile. I said, very good. Then I'll take it as a template, analytic template. And I did. It was published in the Round Table in London. And there it was proved that actually all India-Pakistan wars fit the template of a riot. Limited in time, limited in geographic space where it takes place, and in the intensity. Short, localized affairs. So this is what the Indian Army does. This is what the Indian Air Force does. Limiting itself, having tactical aircraft, no strategic sense, no reach. The most you have by way of a strike aircraft in the strategic sense is the Sukhoi 30 MKI. But that's a medium-range aircraft. It's not a strategic bomber.
It's not a strategic bomber. Yeah.
It's what we need. A recallable vector.
Right.
What's a recallable vector? Pilot can reverse it and fly back.
Right.
It's called the fail-safe point on a strategic delivery platform. You're going there.
Yeah.
The NATO and the US Air Forces always maintained the fail-safe flights every day during the Cold War. B-52s would go right up to that point and turn back to let the Russians know.
No.
Look, anytime you start something, we are going to come in. We could have done that. We don't have any such thing. We don't have it. So this is how, what I mean by a service that is luckless in its leadership.
Luckless in its leadership is how you started your blog. Yes, the leadership.
It doesn't have the strategic sense.
And you also say that is perhaps the reason that they wish to avoid theatrisation, which is again something that you have
yes, absolutely
proposed.
Yes, because the theatrisation is a necessity. It was first again recommended by Mountbatten to Nehru as early as 1955. And he said, appoint Thimayya, British like Thimayya, as the first CDS. But our problem was that we wanted to denature the military. Because the Congress Party, understandably, did not like, it was an occupation force, mercenary force. They're not nationalist force. So the Congress Party during the freedom movement said, we have to get rid of it. They did not. Again, a mistake. If you believed it, why didn't you get rid of it? They did not do it. So वही लोग वही सामान लेके आप पे जो हावी थे वो अब they have become national force. ये कैसे हो गया भाई? Overnight they become a national force. Minds don't change that way.
Right. And sir, coming to again a lot to unpack. You mentioned two things which piqued my interest. One, you mentioned luckless in its leadership, which I want to connect to this recent episode of General Naravane, where he was seeking leadership, it appears, when he was looking for...
No, he was not seeking. He was not seeking anything. He was seeking very, very detailed orders.
Tactical orders.
That too tactical, which is none of
the business of the politicians.
Nobody gives tactical orders. If Rajnath Singh could give tactical orders, why did he need Naravane?
Right.
As I said, what does Naravane think being chief is? Or any military chief. You have to take hard decisions when the time comes. You're not just there for the vardi and bandobast, yahan wahan daudo, usse kuch thodi na. So this is the real problem. You have a situation where Naravane wanted express instructions to do what he eventually did. What he did was correct. He got the tanks in there, hull down position, guns pointing. China said, "Maro boliya, khatam karo." This is how I have said. You be assertive. What is China? PLA, the worst goddamn army, is a paper dragon.
Puffed up paper dragon, you call it.
I've been saying it for years together, not anything new. I've been to China. They call me to be a foreign scholar or something at the Shanghai Institutes of International Studies. They wanted me for 6 months. I said, I don't want to go for 6 months. They said 6 weeks. I said, yeah, 6 weeks, okay. I saw all of China during the 6 weeks because I had to give 2 talks a week. That's it. Otherwise, they paid me very well just to go around. I went all over the place. It's a fascinating country. And you have a leadership that's fast saying you get China.
Right. And you've also maintained since the beginning that China is the real existential threat.
It's the only threat.
It's the only
threat. We have no threat other than China.
But sir, what interests me even more and what's striking is your prescription to China, which is enumerated in around 5 points. One, you say take border from them. Then you say militarize Vietnam, build army bases, build naval bases. So what is it that you think India should do?
I've been saying since my time on the National Security Advisory Board, my first one when we were there. And again, I was quickly deboarded because, my solutions were a thing. And I went up against the foreign secretary at the time, some chap called Raghunath or somebody. And I said, if the Chinese deliberately and with due diligence nuclear missile arm Pakistan, what should India's response have been? Under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, self-defense provision, it's there. There's a legal raison d'etre for you to act by doing exactly to him what he has done to you. So I said, you nuclear missile arm all the countries on China's periphery. Dekhte hain kaise hoga? Dam hai yahan pe kisi mein? Nahi hai.
Vietnam ko karne.
Nahi. Not just Vietnam. Everybody. Whoever wants it. You want nuclear? Give it. Who is going to stop you? Who is going to stop you? We stop ourselves. Who stops any prime minister from saying, "Theek hai, we have a precedent, we have a provocation, We have reason to respond. We have Article 51 of the United Nations Charter that allows us legally to respond in kind. Not as if वैसे यहाँ वहाँ के बातें. And what did Raghunath say to me? I jumped on him. In case of Subramaniam saying, Bharat, let him be, वो भी आयत आदमी है. They all want to protect each other. So I told him, so, Mr. Foreign Secretary, he said, Mr. Karnad, it's not practicable. His words. It really made me mad. Not practicable. I said, Mr. Foreign Secretary, do you even understand what practicability is when there's national security involved and when the adversary has responded in this extreme fashion by arming your... Pakistan is not an adversary, but you have made it okay, but they've done strategically, they've acted strategically and discomfited you permanently. और आप क्या कर रहे हो? Nothing. For 40 years we have done nothing. We can still do it. We can still, if there's a strong government, okay, chalo. You did that to us. अब देखते हैं. How many countries like on the periphery like you to,
yes.
Everybody will say, give it. Don't arm your military. Arm everybody in Southeast Asia. This is called deterrence at distance. You deter China in his backyard. अगर आप घुस के मारने की बातें करते हो, जाओ चाइना के पीछे, in his compound, arm everybody. See what happens then? Let's see how China doesn't come online.
And so not only that, you prescribe a number of other things, including doing away with no first use for China.
Yes, because in my last book, it's called Staggering Forward, Narendra Modi and India's Global Ambition. I said, look, China, we cannot match them conventionally. They are far too superior. And technologically, they are now a superpower. You're a middling power. You're nothing, honestly. The AI summit and all, we can... ठीक है, but ultimately, what is the purpose of the AI summit? We'll just be producing more manpower to do the West's work for them.
Sure.
As it थोड़ी ना कि हम अपने लिए कर रहे हैं. Vaishnav might say anything he wants, but most of the people here are Anthropic, ये वो, chat AI, whatever, the GPT AI and all these things. They're here to recruit Indians. We have always been, as I said to you at the very beginning, हम तो बिकाऊ लोग हैं. And I include the entire South Asian community. I'm not talking particularly Indian. We have been that way historically because we were never one nation. It's true. When Winston Churchill said that India was never one nation, it's absolutely true. But there was a national consciousness. Everybody knew about Hindustan. They may not have had loyalty to something called Hindustan, but the notion was there, concept was there.
So given all that, and now coming to the political leadership, of course, you've spoken about the IAF, we've spoken about India's strategic folly, much of which has to do with our posturing with, or the lack of our posturing with China. But coming to our leadership.
It's not lack of posturing. You're postured. It's a very weak posture. It's a submissive posture.
Submissive posture.
You're absolutely, that's been your downfall. That's been you pretty much reduced yourselves. You don't need any enemy to do it. We hurt ourselves. And so there's no question of non-posturing. This is our posture. And that's the problem.
And the posture is far too weak.
Submissive, passive, reactive. When it should be offensive, proactive, bellicose.
That is why people don't know what to say to you. Because you're right to the right. The criticism,
I'm not right to the right. I'm just a realist. That's how you deal with China.
Yeah.
If you don't know, what did Sun Tzu say? Know your enemy and you will know yourself and you will win any kind of competition. If you don't know your enemy and you think being nice to the enemy is going to get you places, वहाँ से Chinese investment करेंगे यहाँ पे, वो क्या बेवकूफ है?
Of course.
Sure, hire and whatever the Chinese company, they'll sell you washing machines and all that. They'll be happy to sell you. They want to make money.
Yeah.
But the point is not that. The point is, do you think they're going to invest to make you stand as a competitor to them?
It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Like here, what have we learned from all the, at least the one thing that the Rafale contract with the Indian Air Force, 114 as for the medium fighter element that they are talking about. 114 of them, some 20 in flyaway condition, the rest to be assembled here.
Yes.
So screwdrivering.
Screwdrivering. They don't give us the source code.
They won't. The Dassault head, Monsieur Tapier, he said no. He jumped on the Germans for promising us source codes for the submarine we are buying from the Germans. When we don't need to buy. Go to my post, go to my writing, in my books and so on. I said, we don't need to buy a submarine. We keep buying the same thing again and again from different vendors. When you have all the capacity in country to make your own submarines. But why do military people love foreign info? I mean, this is at a trivial level, but it's very telling in the decisions they make. So there's no end to hypocrisy and no end to self-interest in all this.
Speaking of hypocrisy and self-interest, I have read some very scathing comments about S. Jaishankar. What do you think about him, if I may ask?
Look, his father was my colleague. I've known him, the father. I first met Jaishankar when he was a political counselor in Washington Embassy when I was living in Washington in the mid-80s, 1980s. And, he was fine.
Yeah.
But Jaishankar is his father's son. By that I mean, for some reason, Subbu got into his head that the Americans are the way to go. Siding with them will help us advance. It's a reasonable case to make. The problem is, what is the record of the Americans? They did that with China. They'll not do it again. They
made their mistake once.
They made a big mistake and they realized it. But they had the powerful backer in Kissinger. Pushed it and pushed it. This China-friendly line. Made it a superpower, economic superpower. And the manufacturing hub of the world. Do you think they're going to repeat the mistake? They're not. And they said so. We are not going to do it. That's why Trump, in his last term, when there was a talk of tech transfer for the making of the GE 414 engine, he stopped it.
Yeah.
He stopped the actual technology transfer. You can buy it, he said. You can buy a whole bunch of things.
So you're not giving technology.
Not technology. Wohi Rafale kar raha hai. Tapier said to the Germans, what are you doing? Why are you giving them source codes?
So that's what's happening.
We are the perfect customers for people.
Yeah.
What can I say? No one could buy a Lux into a better customer than us. You had, I remember, Chief Marshal Krishnaswamy, who I dealt with when I was Finance Commission Advisor, Defence Expenditure. And he was then the Assistant Chief Air Staff Planning. And he briefed me on, and he said to me, and I've known him from then. So Air Chief Bana, and then after retirement, he says to me, I said, why didn't you reverse engineer all the aircraft from the time of independence as China has done and built up its industry? Why don't you reverse engineer? We have made some 800 engines in Nasik, MiG engines. 17, some huge number of aircraft, MiG-21s, but we have no technology because we don't even record what we do. In other words, there's no additive notions to technological development. Everything is, okay, ye contract ho gaya, next aa jao. It's all screwdrivering from the CKD and SKD kits. What is SKD? Semi-knockdown kits. CKD, completely knockdown kits. That's all it is.
Just assembling.
That's assembling. It's screwdrivering. Because remember, I don't know, in our time, when we were youngsters, our dads used to buy us Meccano.
Yeah.
And I'd make a crane, just look at it, does that make me an engineer? Or a great crane builder and truck builder? No. But we don't seem to understand that. When you had a genuine MF-24, I have killed it. When you have genuine Tejas, it's being sidelined. Under the rubric of baat nahi bharta, mind you.
No.
Paise kahan se aayenge if you give 75,000 crores to the so?
Exactly. And you've said a lot also about how we deal with Trump, and more so how we should not deal with him. And you mentioned in one blog post particularly about that tweet that they exchanged, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. And you said that it was obsequious, you said that it was servile, and you said that it was downright shameful. And why do you say that, sir? Can I ask you to elaborate?
No, because, you don't, if it's the FDA or whatever, the understanding you have for a free trade agreement, if you have basics of that, that is mutually beneficial. It's between equals. What's there to be so, acting as if he has done you a great favor? Why act as if, do the Chinese ever go overboard in praising any other third party? Ever. Never. They maintain that thing. Okay,
they're very aggressive also.
No, it doesn't matter. That's a separate thing. Zhou Enlai, when he first came, there was a thing in 1950 in the Indochina talks where India was one of the main conveners of the United Nations Peace in Indochina talks and so on. John Foster Dulles, who was the US Secretary of State, Zhou Enlai came and offered his hand. He didn't take it. John Foster Dulles didn't take it. Zhou Enlai remembered. The Chinese state remembered. When Nixon went, Kissinger told him, look, this is our background. You have to go out of the way. It was Nixon, and it was Mao standing there and Nixon walking all the way. They make all foreigners do it. All the way. He never walks forward. Everybody goes to Mao. He didn't offer his hand. Zhou Enlai didn't offer his hand. Nixon has to literally take it, This is what self-respect is. It's a manifestation of self-respect. If you do not have self-respect, that means you do not have self-confidence. If you do not have self-confidence, it means that whatever you're planning, by way of whatever good you mean to do for the country, means nothing. It'll ultimately fail because all of the countries are trying to maximize their interests, not yours. Not yours. So all these notions of shared democratic values means nothing. In the real world out there, it's a very harsh dog-eat-dog world. And there's no question of anybody giving anybody else, any other country, even the slightest sliver of advantage. Some people say you're being unnecessarily cynical. No, I'm not. I'm being a realist. That's why I don't understand terms like ultra hawk. I don't know what that means. There's realism or you're not realistic. And I base everything on history. All my books, no opinions. In Delhi, in India, everybody opinionates. All op-ed pages, everybody opinionates. On what basis do you say things? Doesn't matter. Because you opinionate. So there's no historical basis for your analysis generally. I'm ex-defense secretary. So? Yesterday you had sanitation secretary. What do you know about defense? I remember a defense secretary telling me, this is one of our problems. When the defense secretary telling me some time back, I said, do you understand anything at all? He said, no, Mr. Karnad, they don't. Because he understood that I can't lie to me. He can lie to other politicians. I said, do you understand anything at all? He says, Mr. Karnad, I'll be honest. I'm here for 2.5, 3 years. It takes me 2 years to understand the jargon, not the substance. Jargon. By the time I begin to grasp the substance, term is over or I retire. How is defense and national security decisions made this way when there's no continuity? There's no continuity between governments. So this is, we have so many problems. That's why I hate to say, not that I mean to be necessarily pessimistic, but I don't mean to be. But I look at what is happening, what's there on the ground.
That is what you arrive at.
That's a conclusion. Based on evidence, not based on opinions. I never base I don't say anything I cannot back it up.
So is there hope in the prognosis? If there is, then where is it?
No, look, as I said, one of the reasons that the good thing about pessimism is that you're never disappointed.
But that's not a great problem to have.
Maybe not. But that's how I justify what I say to myself. I'll never be disappointed because if you're optimistic and then someone disappoints you, you say, oh, yaar, kya ho gaya? I'm not disappointed. I know that. It's not going to work because our problem is structural. Our problem is deep in our psyche.
Yes.
We are still, shall we say, colonized force. Shakespeare had, I don't know whether you read Shakespeare, and his great play called Tempest.
Mm-hmm.
Read it if you haven't. And then there was a French psychiatrist, Manoni, from Algiers, he was an Algerian Frenchman, who deconstructed the third world psyche. He said there are two characters in Shakespeare's Tempest. And Tempest is, and I say in my book I'm writing, it is the first imperial play written in the world. Imperialist play. Why? Because you had the main two characters, Prospero, who was European, white, advanced technology, culture. And then there's Caliban, who Shakespeare portrayed as third world. Colored person.
He's an archetype.
So this is in 1640s when Shakespeare is writing it, mind. When there was not even the British Empire. The Raj nahi tha wahan pe. So in a sense,
projecting into future.
Projecting what was happening. You see, he also, ye ho raha. So, and what Manoni, the psychiatrist, said was the Caliban syndrome, and as Shakespeare himself, the whole play is built around Caliban, in a sense, revering Prospero, seeking his approval, seeking validation for what he is from Prospero, not his own sense of self. But I need to be validated by somebody else. In our case, we need to be validated by the West.
Supposedly superior to us.
That is implicit, no? You don't have to say it.
Yeah.
Why do Chinese not bend to anybody? When the first Chinese legation, I think Lord Elphinstone went to the court of celestial peace or whatever it's called, the Chinese called it in the mid-1870s, whatever. Emperor was... the Elphinstone took some, a compass and all. I mean, some maritime things. When actually the Chinese had discovered the compass. The Chinese said, these are baubles. He said, we are not interested in trading with you. The emperor dismissed him. That's the attitude. See the difference. It's not a colonized power. China was never colonized. Yes, parts of China were, like Shanghai, Canton. The Opium War was imposed on by the British because they wanted to sell China opium. Chinese had never forgotten how India was very much part of their humiliation. Now they are returning the playing the card to humiliate us, and they humiliated us. See how things work out? They never forget. We always forget.
We always forget. In fact, we don't even know what to remember. There is nothing in our collective conscience about us being humiliated by China. Aisa kuch hai
Not
nahi.
China, forget China. The West is the main thing.
The West.
I'm in many respects, I spent a third of my life in America. I went from, after my senior Cambridge and a year of engineering, I went to the University of California.
Right.
I'm a complete Californian in that sense. But I also, all my friends are American, simply because I grew up with them. I don't know anything about the education system here. My wife is a Delhi Punjabi girl, so that's good. She tells me about Miranda House or whatever. I cannot empathize at all with any of it. But the point, I think, is that you have to have a consciousness. Without that, nothing works. And if you want to do shortcuts, and Subbu's and Jaishankar's problem is, they always want a shortcut. Americans will help us. Someone else will. Why should they help you, yaar? Think of it. Kissinger wanted to help it in a grand strategic sense to set up China as a counter to America in a Cold War. Ab to wo nahi reh gaya. What is your strategic sense? So ab kis wajah se aap, why are you seeking the American tutelage, as I call it? Why are you seeking it? What can they do for you? Most of the Silicon Valley, Arey Baba, most of them are Indians. Okay, why did they go there? Because the milieu was not conducive to their doing what they are doing in California, because you didn't do it. You didn't build up an aerospace sector when you could. That could have been the seedbed of everything, high technology, in the 50s.
Yes. Like you were saying.
And then you are saying, now you squawk about it. Everybody is naturally going to take advantage of you. If there's a sucker out there, I'm going to take advantage of you. And then you say, oh, kya ho gaya? Kya ho gaya kya? It was foretold.
And so if you see what's going on in the leadership sphere, do you think that politicians can really be strategic? Because I mentioned this, you have the bandwidth and the ability, and if I may say so, the luxury to be entirely strategic because you are free from political bounds. And so as such, you're a political scientist and you are able to think on those lines. Can politicians ever in our country think on these lines to that extent? You're talking about giving nuclear weapons to countries in Southeast Asia to counter China. You're talking about taking territory. You are talking about things which are radical. Removing first use.
Not radical. I don't know why you keep... Look, you're a sympathetic commentator. And yet you label what I'm saying radical. That's a real problem.
That is a real problem, admittedly.
Yes, but that's the whole point, isn't it? If someone sympathetic says that this is radical, can you imagine someone who is not so open-minded? They say, I mean, this is getting you into war, you're going to get problems. The point is very simply to, first of all, to learn to label things in its proper way. Much of the thing is lost when we mislabel things. America is not here to help you. So it's not a free trade agreement. Whatever the Prime Minister may say, there's equal and I've done this here. Yeah. Look at the terms now. They opened up the agricultural sector. Why don't you admit it? I'm all for opening it up. I was all for Modi's agricultural reforms that the Punjabi and the Jat farmers in Haryana and Punjab stopped with all the dharna and all that. We need to shake up the agricultural sector.
Agreed.
We cannot have 60% of our damn economy agricultural based.
Correct.
Right? We should build up cold chains. We should do all this. Right? It will happen when you have private investment coming in to make money.
Yeah.
Making money is not bad. It is the driver. The state should be a facilitator, not a hindrance to people making money legitimately. Not over-regulated. God knows how many millions of laws you have to... Just look up what Guru Charan Das wrote last Sunday. Guru Charan Das, the corporate here, chairman, Hindustan Lever. Just look up at the numbers. It was stunning. I know that. I use it in my book I'm writing. Thousands of laws that you have to seek sanctions and approvals, money, just to start a simple business that will create wealth, that will generate employment. Right? And this is the norm. And yet everybody in government maintains we are absolutely open and we are open to the world and you please come and invest. Arey Baba, in practical sense, at the ground level, what has changed?
I agree.
You know better. You have been an ex-civil servant. So all I'm saying is, don't be a victim of your own self-advertisements, first of all. जो आप लोगों को बताना चाहते हो, बताओ, whatever rhetoric, it doesn't matter. But don't be convinced, don't be fooled by your own rhetoric now about yourself.
Yes.
हम तो अभी already a great power. We are already $1 trillion economy. बाहर जाओ, you can't keep a street. Look at the payments. You can't have, mandapam, whatever they take it.
Bharat Mandapam.
So that thing that they have done, the road they have built, the little downpour, the damn thing floods. You haven't learned the basic civil engineering skills of drainage. क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप? क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप? क्या बात कर रहे हैं?
We are not there.
Obviously, you're not there.
Not bad.
I mean, when we say, it's a joke. I just come back. I go give talk. I give talk to the high command courses at the 3 services, high training institutions, and I've been doing it for years together. 30 years. Because I helped draft the doctrine with Subramaniam and so on, the nuclear doctrine. Now, the NFU, the no first use, वो तो वाजपेयी जी ने तो बता दिया पार्लियामेंट में, suo motu statement, May 28, 1998, कि we are going to have 2 things, no first use and we minimum deterrence. He didn't understand either. No politician understand it. No Babus understand it. No one right now in the Strategic Forces Command understand it. My book that is called Nuclear Weapons Indian Security is their Bible, as I remember Admiral Arun Prakash saying to me one time, Bharat, your book is the Bible. They read things, they understand about what they are handling. ठीक है, that's a good thing. But the point is, I also argued in that book. It's about 750. All our books are big, so nobody reads them. They are more as a weightlifting thing than actually helping anybody improve their minds. But when you say no first use, do people understand what it means? I remember I asked Brajesh, do you understand? You are the National Security Advisor, for God's sake. Do you understand what no first use means? It means that if you have perfect intelligence, let's say, that say China is going to attack,
All right.
you will still do nothing
Yes.
until you are hit.
Yes. And as you mentioned somewhere, it means you have the capacity of near perfect rehabilitation.
No, not just to absorbing the hit.
Absorbing the hit.
Do you understand what nuclear hit is? I get a laugh out of it, but it's a very serious thing. If you can't take the first monsoon strike, you're taking a nuclear strike? सोचने की बात है. When we talk very lightly about, take the first, we are only retaliation only.
Yeah.
You can't take a monsoon strike which is predictable. The meteorological organization will tell you May 26th is the onset of the monsoon here, there. And you're not prepared. Your Delhi municipals or whatever the government, everything gets flooded, right? Your buses get stranded mid-road under Tilak Bridge or whatever the damn thing is. There's a normal every year affair for us. We don't change things. We don't repair things. We don't change our... I mean, कहाँ की बात कर रहे हैं कि you'll be able to absorb a nuclear strike and respond with a retaliatory, there'll be retaliatory response.
So can I ask you to educate me a little bit about what exactly happens? What exactly would happen in case of a nuclear strike? What is the scale of this thing? Should it happen?
The scale of destruction, look, the reason I've been advocating from the very beginning, from my time in the National Security Advisory Board and other places, is that we have to go thermonuclear, which means that, and our thermonuclear, the thing we tested was a fizzle.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
And just for the benefit of the audience who's watching, does not have perhaps the context, you have mentioned the Pokhran 2 test. The thermonuclear hydrogen bomb fizzled.
Fizzle, yeah. Not just 2 tests, it was one of the, it's called the S1 test on May 11, 1998.
And then we never went around to developing it.
No. We may have developed something, I don't know. But if you have a fizzle, fizzle is not a literary allusion. I keep telling people. Fizzle is a technical term for any weapon that only explodes or yields to between 7 to 20% of the planned yield. That's a failure.
So that's a technical failure.
It's a technical failure. Yeah, or design failure. Acha. Our people say, people like, and this is a real problem we have, we appoint very wrong people. And I just said that to a military audience 10 days ago. We choose the wrong people. After Homi Bhabha, we haven't had a genuine visionary. He was a strategic visionary. The reason I know that was my dad was the chief engineer Tarapur, atomic. That's why I got into it. Why did I get into it? Because my graduate work in UCLA was in strategic arms. At that time, there's something called the SALT 1. Strategic arms limitation talks between Brezhnev and Nixon. So I was working on a RAND UCLA program on how to negotiate ostensibly contradictory things, like how do you negotiate between apples and oranges? In a simple way, like the Americans are very good at terminal accuracy, means they'll deliver a weapon to within, literally, it'll deliver them on target.
They say CEP.
At distance, CEP. The circular error probable. So that's the accuracy metric. It's very accurate. The missiles are very accurate. It's called terminal guidance. Very accurate. The Russians are very good at lift capacity. Huge
payloads.
Rockets, payloads. That is 60 megaton. It's called the Tsar Bomba. It stunned everybody. Major headache for the Americans. You don't have to have accuracy at that yield.
Yes.
Why do you need accuracy then? That was the counterpoint.
I see.
अच्छा तुम्हारी terminal accuracy, चलो देखते हैं क्या करोगे आप, खत्म, right? There's a strategic response. When General Curtis LeMay, who was head of the United States Air Force, he was very aggressive. In the Cuban Missile Crisis, they said, let's go in for a surgical strike, and so on and so forth. The question was, that's when the Russians realized, यार हमें कुछ करना है, इनको deter करने के लिए, मानेंगे नहीं तो. Tsar Bomba was a declaratory response, not just in physical terms. Everybody can see the 60 megaton, 60 million tons of TNT equivalent going up in one instant. So thermonuclear has a psychological
Deterrent.
yield, psychological yield. The physical yield jo hai, so hai. That's why I've been arguing we have to we have to resume our testing. We have to, and we have to thermonuclear testing.
Yes, sir. And about testing, it's again, you've just been vindicated.
Yes.
President Trump just mentioned.
Yes.
He alleged that Pakistan, China, Russia, they've all been testing.
Yes.
And we have not.
Well, okay, I don't know about that. But the point, that's not important. Unless, look, if you have the physical data of explosion physics, and there's a whole bunch of things involved.
It should be an L-shaped tunnel. If you do.
If you can, it has to be very deep, L-shaped, because then you have a radiation channel.
Right.
You have, and then you have the kind of rock morphology and so on, with different things.
Right.
So we have that in Pokhran.
Okay.
But the point is, and we have dug some wells, we need to resume testing to make our deterrent credible. Why? Because Atal Bihari Vajpayee, despite being told in 1998 that the thermonuclear did not explode as planned and that we need to resume testing. Who said it? The director of field testing Pokhran, who was the only man there who knew what was happening.
Yes.
But you had someone who's, Santhanam's boss was a chap called R. Chidambaram, Dr. R. Chidambaram. This is what I mean by how we put, unfortunately for the country, we put the wrong people to head the wrong, very important things. Raja Ramanna, who again was my colleague on, and read my first draft of Nuclear Weapons in Indian Security, my book. He said, his praise for it was in an email, but he didn't like what I said later on. I said, you people were a little too, that is the part of the book that he didn't like, my book. Wherein I said, he liked everything, evolution, history, right, Bharat, I went into archival stuff, people talking to me, who were the first batch TIFR, Drs. Iyengar, AP Prasad, all these people. And why? How did they know me? Through my dad. I had gone to California, mujhe pata hi nahi tha. Then when the first test happened, the nuclear test, I'm in the National Security Advisory Group. But I still write, I said, I'm going to attack I'm in the government. I attacked the government by saying that was a dud. It proved out. When I argued why it may have been a dud, Dr. Iyengar read it somewhere. He called me up. He said, Mr. Khan, why do you say it's a dud? I said, I'm not a physicist, but I understand a bit of nuclear physics. As an interested person, though I went to California to do nuclear and chemical engineering. I was the first undergrad batch of the University of California in undergrad in nuclear and chemical engineering. But those are nuclear structurals. But I understand. I'm not a physicist who are the real crafters of weapons. They conceive weapons. As for the engineers, Kakodkar, ye sab log, they're engineers. They are not visionaries. Bhabha was a Nobel Prize winning caliber chairman. When he was the chairman, all Nobel laureates used to come to TIFR, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. Do you know that?
Yeah.
For summer attachments. They spent 3 months in Tata Institute of Fundamental Research because Bhabha was there. But they were his caliber. They said, "Hamare standard ka hai." Wolfgang Pauli. I can't remember all kinds of names. Who all know physics Nobel laureates. All spent time in TIFR. He set up P.K. Iyengar with Leslie Brockhuis, who was a Canadian nuclear physicist. He worked on neutron physics. He was Bhabha sent Iyengar to work with him in Canada. देखो क्या पहुंच थी.
He was at that level.
अब कौन है? No one wants to go because it's a dead weapons directorate is a dead place. Because there's no incentive, government thinks jo hamare paas hai usi se we are quite happy. Chalo. The difference between us and Pakistan is Pakistan keeps getting benefits from the Chinese and North Koreans. North Koreans have developed from the Chinese.
Yeah.
Chinese बैठे हुए हैं सबको दे रहे हैं. They are the main proliferators. They don't get. They're beautiful. I admire them. I say that to the Chinese. I absolutely admire you. I say to our military officers, and I think I remember saying it. I may have said it to the Prime Minister that if you don't have the strategic brains, you don't say मान जाओ कि आपके पास नहीं है. You're not capable to think strategically. है ही नहीं. Maybe I didn't say it to the Prime Minister, but I've been saying it all along in all my writing. I said, if you don't have the strategic brains, then simply imitate what the Chinese do. अगर आप में अकल नहीं है, strategic अकल एक तरफ एक नमूने का होता है. ऐसे नहीं कि everybody can think strategically. You have to be grounded. You have to understand. अगर आप में नहीं है, आपने मान लिया कि नहीं है, हम नहीं कर सकते, हमारी बुद्धि नहीं है.
ठीक है
जी. तो फिर what are you going to do? Do as the Chinese do. सिंपल चांस क्या करो, वही कॉपी कर दो. क्या दिक्कत है? अगर आप में वो क्षमता है नहीं, if you do not have it for whatever reasons, we are culturally neutered. I have called it cultural being neutered. We don't think for ourselves. यहाँ वहाँ की imported ideas तो then do as the Chinese do. What have the Chinese done? See how beautifully they're managing the world. They're creating all the trouble, getting blamed for none of it. और बेचारे ईरान पकड़े जाते हैं, नॉर्थ कोरिया को चीतू कहते हैं, पाकिस्तान को पकड़ लिया. It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. It is brilliant.
Right?
Yeah.
And you want to compete with them? सोचो ना.
Yeah.
You can if you are bloody minded. That's why I tell the military, you have to be bloody minded. You are not diplomats. What did I say in my last post? Some officer got up, student officer, saying you're talking like a politician. Let's have we are responsible states. How can we do this, that? I said, it's none of your damn business. Are you a diplomat? And join the foreign service. If you want to be a civil servant, join the civil service. Don't be in a uniform and then preach responsible behavior when there is nobody else behaving responsibly in the world. That seems reasonable. Is it so unreasonable? What's ultra hawkish about it? It's noble realism. That's the world as is. We are that world imposes its reality on us. Prepare for it. Deal with it at a level where people understand. तो इनसे पंगा नहीं लेना. तो चाइना से कोई पंगा लेता? कोई लेता? नहीं ना. क्यों नहीं लेता? Because you will have a price to pay if you do. हम क्यों लात खाते जाते हैं? Why? Do you think because we can't respond? Because we don't respond.
Yeah.
There's a difference between can and doing something.
सर जो मुझे समझ में आया, if I can sort of paraphrase and summarize, ये मेरी खुद की टेक है आपसे बात करके. It's not only about the problem that you pointed out in me when I, being a sympathetic commentator, had to use the word radicalized. You are saying that about everybody. You're saying that about the government, etc. And I think the fact of the matter is what we require is a new baseline. Baseline ही इतनी नीचे है मेरी खुद की और बाकी लोगों की कि इस टाइप की स्ट्रेटेजिक थिंकिंग नहीं हो रही है, frankly speaking. और ये बेसलाइन बनाने के लिए हमको चाहिए आप जैसे लोग. वी नीड टू हैव दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन मोर, दिस डिस्कोर्स आउट इन द पब्लिक, दिस रियलिटी बीइंग स्पोकन आउट अगेंस्ट, बीइंग स्पोकन आउट अबाउट much more. Then a baseline will be shifted. If a baseline is shifted, then perhaps we can expect the type of rational behavior that you espouse and that you propound. And without that, I don't think we're getting anywhere. Baseline, intellectual baseline, जैसा कि आपने कहा, सोच है, I admit है ही नहीं. तो I suppose if this conversation will add to anything, it perhaps will shift that baseline a little bit in a few people, just a little bit, perhaps leading to something else and a chain reaction, like a nuclear reaction, perhaps. I don't know.
Let's hope that it does, because this is the way you disseminate not just information, but a viewpoint and a way of looking at things.
Yes.
It's a mindset. You look at reality, look at it in different ways. And if you look at it from a strategic perspective and your own national interest, but narrowly defined, if you're very powerful, you're for peace because you have everything at your disposal.
Peace has to be afforded by power, after power.
Power, after you acquire it, not before. You cannot make a rhetoric out of gaining great power. Power, once you get it, is of the physical kind, when you can hurt other countries, and not small countries. We are into hurting small countries, and we think make a big thing. What is Pakistan? Not one country around you is your friend.
Yes.
And that's why we have all the problems. You are falling down at the first step in geostrategic terms. And yet you're making that a plank of your policy. What is one thing that Jaishankar keeps talking about and wants support for? Every time any visitor passing through Delhi has to say a word, terrorism, here bad, Pakistan. Co-opt all your neighbors. We are capable of it. This should be the larger geostrategic design for any right-thinking government of India. We can absorb it. We're a very large economy. We are a very large power. Be generous to match your size and your location. You're strategically, you are the strategic hegemon astride the sea lanes that connect the east to the west. Malacca, we are the power. We can decide. We can stop the Chinese traffic, energy traffic. They'll be undone in no time at all. If we are aggressive. If you do this, we are going to stop all your energy traffic. Chalo, dekhte hain kya hal. You want a war? Let's have a war. वो होना चाहिए ना, दिखाना चाहिए. Don't goddamn fiddle with us and temporize and talk down to us as they do. Look, when Wang Yi comes here, the attitude he adopts. This is the thing, yeah. You do not forget the insult done you, ever. Chinese are not forgiving. That's how you should be. Chinese suffered 1 century of humiliation. We have suffered a millennia of humiliation. We don't feel humiliated. We're a subjugated people. The great Polish sociologist who then migrated to Britain, a chap called, God, what's his name? I forget. But his, what he said about India is so true. I use it in my books. I say it all the time. He described India as a land of subjugations. So correct. We are a land of subjugations. And we don't find anything wrong with it. We adjust. Adjust kar lo. Like I'm given to understand, you travel in a third-class Indian railway compartment. For bench seat meant for 5 people, we'll have 10 people. Adjust kar lo thoda. हम तो adjust करते रहते to the entire world.
Yeah.
We're great adjusters. We're great reconciliators, conciliators. You're always conciliatory. If you're always conciliatory, then the other person is going to take advantage of you, no?
So what you say about the way we are is true enough. And I've heard this said before. But what I have not heard is the prescription. This is what is striking to me. And now that I hear it, the more I absorb it, the more I realize it to be true. To be more belligerent, to be bellicose, to be Chakravartin, not just Vishwaguru. And that is a huge thing to say. And like I said, problem तो इतनी ज़्यादा मुझे लग रही है इसी चीज़ में कि baseline इतना low है, इतना ज़्यादा low है कि हम conceive नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. A government more aggressive than this one, we're not able to conceive of it. That's how pacified we are and subjugated, the way you put it. So I don't know where this will end, but I guess it'll start from a new baseline, which I hope this conversation sets for us.
I hope so.
And thank you so much, sir, for your time. I came looking for an education and I got it. And,
thank you.
And I seek more of it.
No, but I also hope you read the books. Because this is just a thing, you know, and people don't read books. You have to read something more than op-eds, because we get educated in op-eds. Op-eds don't, they're opinion pieces.
Understood,
mean nothing.
Sir. Understood, sir. I will do my homework when I come to you next. And which one would you want me to read?
I'm sorry?
Which book would you want me to read?
No.
Nominate one.
I'd like to read you to read all my books, but if you're talking about Great Power and all, read Why India's Not a Great Power. It's an Oxford University Press book. All these are
that'll be the one.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.